welcome to Let's Talk About Meh. It's the Highlands' most self-indulgent YouTube channel because it's all about me. Me. Anyway, today I want to talk about Linkin Park's new album, From Zero. But before we get into all that, let's do the usual malarkey. You can contact me on official Let's Talk About Meh at gmail.com. You can obviously watch me on YouTube, which you'll be here now. Like, subscribe, click the bell. Oh, my soul. You can catch me on Instagram on Let's Talk About Meh1. I just put like life stuff up on there. I tend to post on it nearly every day, so check it out if you're bored. I mean, you shouldn't be checking me out anyway, married man. So I want to talk about Linkin Park in general. So I'm 37 years young, I'll have you know. And Linkin Park was a huge thing when I was younger. It was a huge part of my teenage years. Which I think for a lot of folk my age it would have been. Like, Linkin Park has been around for a long time now. Over 20 years. Yeah, well over 20 years. And they've had so many different eras and styles, even to the point where I'm going to go through some of the albums, like a wee summary, but I completely dropped off around, check my notes here. I dropped off around 2008. I caught the singles, and I think I listened very, very briefly to the 08 and 2011 albums, but I really dropped off. And I'm not sure why. But yeah, so the early stuff, like I was in high school and Linkin Park came out of nowhere in 2000 with I'm About to Break. I'm pretty sure that's not the name of the single, but everybody knows that distinctive opening guitar line of the dun 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 dun. And at the time, there was nothing like it. The new metal scene was really just kicking off in full swing. And yes, I was a new metal kid. I was lucky. I know it's kind of not looked upon fondly now, but see, like in 2000, new metal was just like this exciting new thing. We didn't have streaming platforms. We didn't have anything like Spotify, or didn't even have Apple Music. Apples at that point were the wee Apple Mac computers that you would see sitting on your art teacher's desk, because I think it was only the art department in my high school that had the Apple Macs with the plastic background on them. So yeah, it was exciting new stuff. It was aggressive. It was angry. It had elements of hip hop with Shinoda in his rap verses. It had synths, which was really quite a defining thing with new metal. It was genre melding. You took a lot of industrial rap, synth dance elements, and you just kind of like threw it in with metal. I loved it. I still do. Not coffee. Not coffee. It is colder than a witch's teat in the north at the moment, so I'm actually drinking hot chocolate because I'm a big baby. So yeah, let's have a quick summary. And I'm going to do the smart, intelligent thing here and pull up old Wikipedia. So, just in case folk don't know, which if you don't know Linkin Park, then you've been living under a rock for the last 20 years. So, summary is Linkin Park is an American rock band formed in Agoura Hills, California in 1996. I'm going to butcher all pronunciation. The band's current lineup consists of vocalist, rhythm guitarist, keyboardist Mike Shinoda, lead guitarist Brad Delson, DJ turntablist Johan. I always just refer to him as DJ Han. Bassist Dave Farrell, co-lead vocalist Emily Armstrong, and drummer Colin Brittain. The lineup for the band's first 7 studio albums included lead vocalist Chester Bennington. We're going to touch on that. And drummer Rob Burden. Until Bennington's death, in July 2017, which caused the band to enter an indefinite hiatus. Categorized mainly as alternative rock and nu metal, yes, Linkin Park's earlier music spanned a fusion of heavy, get out of there, pop, heavy metal and hip hop, while their latest music features more electronica and pop elements. Linkin Park rose to international fame with their debut studio album, Hybrid Theory. So, we're going to start there. Hybrid Theory. Hybrid Theory was the first album that I was exposed to with Linkin Park, as most were. It came out in 2000, which was 24 years ago. And yeah, that was, I think everyone in my school loved Linkin Park. There was no one that didn't like them. Even, I think there must have been like, see, I'm old now, so I don't know what the kids, if they still have like fads and stuff. I think even if you weren't into Linkin Park, it was like you had to like Linkin Park, otherwise you were just exiled. Um, yeah, so I'm about to break. I remember sitting in my dad's. I think I was living with my dad at the time, and just flicking through, the music channels, which there were music channels. They were awesome. You because again we didn't have streaming, so you had like I think it was like 10 to start with music channels like MTV when it actually played music. The box was like the pop channel. Q was just weird. It decided to play whatever it wanted. It would play classical and then it would move into um oh god, what was their name? Oh no. Oh no. I've totally forgotten their name. Moving on. But yeah, Q went into like rock and then there was Heat and Kiss. Kiss was like the R&B risky sort of pop. MTV2, which was all the alternative metal and indie stuff. So yeah, so I remember flicking through the channels, and then it was on Kerrang TV. No, it was just Kerrang. They were just Kerrang. Yeah, it was on Kerrang, and I just caught the end of it, and I was like, "What was that?" Never heard anything like it, and my brain was like, "I have to hear this again." So bearing in mind, back then I couldn't hop on to streaming and just find it. I had to sit and wait and hope that somebody, because this is how the world worked, somebody had to call in and or text in later. That was the amazing age of technology, and ask for this song. And it was never on when I was watching television. And then eventually it got popular. And then it was actually the reason I managed to catch it was my dad knew that I obviously liked the song, and I don't remember telling him. So maybe he just did it off his own back. But yeah, so before digital, we also had VCRs that had big tapes in them. And you could tape the television. You weren't supposed to, but everybody did it. My dad caught the music video when he was sitting there from the start and he recorded it. So that's actually the first time I heard that song from start to finish was my dad had taped it. So thank you, Dad. And I just fell in love with it. And I went down to my local music shop when the album came out and I bought it. The CD. God, we're going right down, aren't we? Music television, calling in, VHS, CD. Man, I'm getting old. So yeah, Hybrid Theory was an amazing album, start to finish. I don't think there's many songs that are throwaways on that. It's just, I think it's a bit of a time capsule. Encapsulates the sound at the time. Chester's screaming, Shinoda's rapping, Hans scratching, the drums, the guitar was just so distinct. I listened to that album a lot through my teens. Meteora came quickly after it in between '02 and '04, and the thing that always shocked me about Meteora was I was really hyped for that album. I went out and I bought it, and the album cover was amazing, and it was one of that CDs that was like part plastic inside, and it was all like cardboard on the outside, which with a gloss finish. And I remember flipping it open, and then you had all your lyrics and the leaflet inside. And I popped it into my CD Walkman, put my earphones on, and the album was over in 35 minutes. And that was a weird thing back then to have albums being that short. But every song, again, it was like, I think nearly every song on Meteor was released as a single or ended up getting a music video because every one of them was a banger. Um, and I listened to that and Hybrid Theory so much. And I remember in my teen years, I did a lot of walking, so I was out walking all the time, and I just had all my CDs. Uh, like I used to wear a long trench coat, and I used to have like CDs, a CD booklet in my pocket, and my Walkman tucked inside my inside pocket of my jacket. And now, like the image of this now, like back then, I was like, I thought I was the coolest thing going, and now it's just like ridiculous. Now I just feel like this sort of creepy guy that's on the edge of the street corner going, "Oh, you want to buy some CDs? I've got the latest Linkin Park bootlegs." Um, so yeah, a lot of listening to Linkin Park. I have very strong memories of listening to Linkin Park in my bedroom as well. And when I think I was I living with my mum and mother then. I've not really got into that yet, but I didn't have a good relationship with my mum. Music was a heavy thing that got me through a lot of the times. Um, I had a lot of traumatic years with my mum. My mother was an alcoholic, and a lot of these new metal bands were what I would listen to. They were a good mix of having that angst and that anger and that feeling to get through things, and then they also had, the depression relation side, So yeah, a lot of there's a lot of memories connected, good and bad, with Linkin Park and new metal for me. But yeah, so when I did enjoy myself and have a drink, if I was at any parties or if I was around at a mate's house, Linkin Park was on. Like I cannot tell you when that first two albums came out how big Linkin Park was. When I first met my wife Susan, she lived in Dingwall, which is a good couple hours away from here. Hopped on a train and met her, and then I can't remember if it was the first trip or second trip, but we went into her house, and the first thing I noticed was on her couch she had the Linkin Park album. So you know everybody had it. Um, I do have an embarrassing memory with the first Linkin Park song album, and so when I was younger, I didn't realize, but I'm okay at singing. I've kind of stopped doing it the last few years, so I've lost my voice on it. I don't think I'm very good anymore, but I enjoyed singing and I enjoyed pelting out songs. So at one point, I was an okay singer. I didn't have any training. If I had training, I think I would have been better. But yeah, so I've got quite a melodic voice, and there was a particular song. Again, name escapes me at the moment. You think I would have sat and wrote it down from my homework? There was a particular song, and I can't remember what it was, but we were sitting in home ec, and we weren't doing home ec. It was just like an empty day, and I think it was only like 10 of us, and I didn't have any friends in there. And I was humming the song, and this girl asked me, she's like, "Oh, what are you singing?" And now knowing that I'm autistic, my autistic brain took that as, "I'll let her hear it, Dave." And out of nowhere, this empty classroom with just 10 folk in it, and the teacher's sitting at the back, I just pelted this song out start to finish. And I mean, I pelted it. And it was one of the more sort of like, "Ugh, my life sucks" songs. It was really sad. Um, and nobody interrupted me. Nobody stopped me. Like for the first minute and a half, they were stunned that I could sing. Because I was always like the quiet, weird guy sitting in the corner. Like, I wasn't very sociable. And they didn't interrupt me. And then by the end of it, this other lassie just goes, "Wow, Dave, that was really good. But we didn't want you to sing the whole song." And I just immediately hood up back into my own world. I'm so embarrassed. I'm actually embarrassed thinking about it now. But wowzers. Um, yeah, there might be a humming noise. It's I'm in a room with an airing cupboard, so there's not much I can do about that. But hopefully it doesn't get picked up too bad. So yeah, pelting it out in home ec class. So the albums that came out were Hybrid Theory in 2000, Reanimation, which was like a remix album in 2002, Meteora came out in 2002-04. I was still on board there, and Minutes to Midnight was in '06. No, it was not. Oh, it was. So Minutes to Midnight, my fondest memory I have of that album is going down on the train to visit Susan when we were dating, and then going back up on the train. And yeah, I would just listen to that album, start to finish, start to finish. It's a brilliant album. I feel that album in particular moved away from the new metal early Linkin Park. Altered Suns, I caught a couple of the singles on it. I liked some of the singles on it, and I just never really dug into that album. 2008 would have been when I moved in with Susan, so probably, you know, life was moving on at that point. Living Things in 2011, nah, not an idea. Hunting Party 2014, nah. 2013, 2014, I would have been starting the wrestling, so nah, wouldn't have been on my radar. And One More Light in 2017, which came out in May. Nope, not a Scooby, which is really weird. Just one of that weird things that just totally dropped off for me. So we'll get on to the next bit, which is obviously the sad bit, an unfortunate bit. So One More Light came out in 2017, May. 2 months later, the lead singer of Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, took his own life, which I think at the time really, really obviously shocked everyone. And now, being 37 and listening to some Linkin Park back and listening to the lyrics, yeah, just it's weird. It's just now you just realize, like, wow, that guy he was hurting, he was struggling, and it was in plain sight, and a lot of it was in his lyrics. And that's, again, just music. It's how I interpret it. Maybe some people don't see it the same way, but that was my opinion. Yeah, just a lot of the themes, and it's so strange because when you're a teenager, you feel like you relate to these songs and the themes of the songs, and although, like, at the time we're like, oh, they're, like, I connect with this and they're singing about me, and, oh, this is my jam, these are my people, my peeps. And when you get older, you have that realization of, yeah, you were connecting with it emotionally, but you didn't understand it. You really didn't understand the full ins and outs of someone else's mindset at that point, especially when it comes to depression and stuff. And then when you get older and you learn more about yourself, and maybe you've had the luck of going through therapy, which I have, which was life changing for me, but it changed my perspective on how I view a lot of things, especially myself. So now I'm kind of like, yeah, right. Well, emotionally, I connected with it, but now I understand, and yeah, it was not really a hidden thing that Chester was in a lot of pain. And then 2 months before Chester took his life, Chris Cornell, of Soundgarden and Audioslave fame, he also took his life, and I think they were pretty close. So I don't know if that had a knock-on effect, but yeah, it's better at the bottom. So that was devastating, and Linkin Park took a long hiatus, understandably. So on to the point of the video, so many minutes in, the new album, From Zero, with new vocalist Emily Armstrong from a band called Dead Sarah. I have not listened to any of that. I might check it out. There's been a bit of controversy, so you have your obvious issue of where people are like, you can't bring Linkin Park back with a new singer. You can. How many bands since the dawn of time have had new singers, whether they've left or died? And I know it's a sensitive subject, but I don't feel I don't feel that this was a case of, right, our lead vocalist is dead. Let's move on and make more money. I mean, there's been many, 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 many years. Even if it was 2020, 2021, that all this started getting built up. I don't think it's been a disrespectful thing at all. At the end of the day, there are other people in this band, and it's a project that they like, and it has brand recognition. So of course they're going to continue. Um, many many bands have done it before, but obviously there's a lot of the fan base, um, and more so in our time these days, there's populism and fanaticism, and I think that plays a part. It was where fan bases can be very protective of a product or a sound or a movie, a comic, a game, anything. Gamers in particular can be brutal about it. But there just seems to be this like, no, that was mine. That's the way I remember it. You can't change it. Quiet email. Um, so yeah, there was a bit of controversy on that front. With folk not being happy with the new singer. Apologies. Um, that's my email pinging away. So yeah, new singer Emily Armstrong, and there's been a bit more drama around that. I believe Chester Bennington's son isn't very happy about this, but I haven't really looked into that, and I haven't read up on that drama, so I'm not going to comment on it. She is of the Scientology religion. I have no problem if you are religious. I am not religious, not in the least. I have no links that way. I do not judge other people that believe in a religion. My only issue, personally, that I have with somebody in a religion is if your religion hurts other people, or if it's closed-minded and you segregate, judge, and be nasty. Just love each other, be nice, and don't hurt anyone, says the professional wrestler. Professional. Funny. Yeah, so she's connected to Scientology, so that's also a bit of drama. But as far as consuming or listening to a product, unless she's hurting anybody or it comes out that she's doing stuff like that, then I don't believe there's anything wrong with enjoying it. The only other thing where she's got herself into a bit of controversy, and there's a lot of people wrapped around this name, especially recently, because my wife Susan was mentioning this. So she was supportive at one point of Danny Masterson. Now, for people who don't know who Danny Masterson is, rose to fame in that 70s show as a character called Hyde, which he was my favourite character on that show. And he was in a couple of movies and bit parts. Had a huge career resurgence with his best mate Ashton Kutcher on The Ranch, which was on Netflix. A lot of accusations of sexual assault came out against Danny Masterson, and at the time, Ashton Kutcher was supportive, and a lot of other people, a lot of other celebrities were supportive. So, as was Emily Armstrong, the new singer. He had his court date after a very long time. He was ousted very quickly from Hollywood, and I think he waited a good few years before his trial even came up. But when the trial did come up, he was convicted, and he's now in jail, deservedly so, because some of the things he did was heinous. But this is all getting dragged up. When Emily was announced as a new singer, it's like, oh, she came out in defense of Danny Masterson. Well, at the time, right, fair enough, but she was taking a stance of innocent until proven guilty. He was proven guilty, and she cut all ties, apparently, the moment that he was convicted. Apparently, she was at his trial as well, so she witnessed it. A lot of folk are bringing out Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis for being supportive of him at one point as well, or even, was it the other way? Had they dropped them? Again, not for me to judge, but considering the outcome of the trial, there we go. Right, moving on swiftly, because I'm rambling. I want to go through this new album. Now, I'm going to talk about each track that's on this album, couple of notes, couple of ways I feel about it, my opinions. Um, I would suggest maybe go listen to the album before you watch the rest of this video. Um, Go check it out on Spotify or wherever. Have a listen, and you can come back to me at a later date. And I can hear people that give advice on YouTube. Don't tell people to leave your video halfway through; they won't come back. I don't give a damn. I don't. But if you will come back and get my opinions on it, then please do. Because then, you leave me a comment or whatever in the bottom. Um, and we can have a chin wag about it. And again, at the end of the day, this is just my opinion. Okay, what I say is not fact. It doesn't affect anything that you feel about it. If you love this album, if you don't like this album, it's just my opinion, and everybody's entitled to an opinion. What I say is not fact. It's just words coming out of my mouth on how I feel. Okay, so let's begin. So, From Zero has an intro track, which surprised me because that's very new metalish. Like all the albums back in the day had intro tracks, and there's voice clips in it of them talking in the recording booth. If you go back to like 98, 97, Eminem's albums in particular had skits and voices, and you could hear people, you got snippets of things that were said in the recording booth. That's really old school. Like Limp Bizkit albums did it as well. So immediately I was like, oh, right, that's an interesting choice. And that runs through the whole album. There's just snippets at the end or at the beginning of tracks where you can hear them talking in the recording booth. So instantly, emails again. I wish I could say I was popular, but it's not. Yeah, so the first is an intro track, and the actual first proper track on the album is The Emptiness Machine, which was the first single. That's a banger. It is a brilliant track, and it was a genius idea to release that as the first single, because the instant it starts, it's Shinoda, and it's a very familiar Shinoda. So you're eased in straight away, like, okay, this is Linkin Park. I get this. And as Shinoda goes through the first verse, Emily Armstrong just you can actually hear her slightly in the background as it eases in, and then she gets her verse. And that just introduces you straight away to the new vocalist. And the whole song has a theme of similar to beginnings of Linkin Park, like Hybrid Theory and Meteora. And then it just slightly edges with her new sound, and it eases older listeners and newer listeners in. So it's familiar but different, which I think was a good way to go. The the sound of Emily at certain points is it's a little chestery, a little, and I don't think that was a good way to go with. But again, they're going for that kind of like trying to please the old and the new. But yeah, the song overall, absolutely love it. The drum beat in particular is very Linkin Park. I always find that Linkin Park songs, production wise, you can pick them out straight away because of the drum. They just have a sound that you know. I love Emptiness Machine, but as much as I love the hook, the bridge is what keeps me coming back to that song. The I only ever want to be part of something, and then it gets repeated. That just pulls at teenage Dave, outcast teenage Dave. I'm outcast adult Dave. What am I talking about? But yeah, that pulls at me a bit, and I like the layering of it, and then how it just hits that climax at the end, and they repeat it over the top of the hook. Yeah, absolute banger of a track. Second track is Cut the Bridge. Again, it's a vintage Shinoda sound. Armstrong brings her unique vocal hook to it. But for me, the chorus doesn't land. It just doesn't. It's not a great song to catch my attention for me. And it's just soft and safe. And when I say soft, I don't mean like the song soft. I mean it's very dull. It's a very dull, low sound to it. And the drum beat, I just said how I praise their drum beat, but for some reason the drum beat on this track just annoys me. It's a 1-2 beat. It's like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and it doesn't really let up through the whole track, and it just seems a little bit like when you used to use electronic drum machines and you would be lazy. I say you, it's me. When I would be lazy when I was making music, and I didn't know how to play drums very well at that point, and I still don't know how to play them well. What am I talking about? And I would just be like, all right, I'll slot this in, and it'd be like, bup, 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 and I wouldn't bother going in and put in any fills. I wouldn't put in any change in the chorus. It was just this 1 2 the whole way, and this song has that. So maybe it reflects my own feelings. That's why I don't like it. um, yeah, it's just to me not a great track, which is a shame because when you start off with the Emptiness Machine, I kind of want to keep going. I'm like, yeah, let's go, and then that one just not for me. Heavy as a Crown, which I think was the second single they put out on. They don't really do singles now, but it's the second single that appeared on Spotify before the release of the album. It's a faint rip-off at the start. It is. I will not have anyone argue with me on that. The start of that song is on purpose to made to sound like Faint. And the synth that immediately follows, the synth lead, is directly similar to New Divide. Again, I think that's by design. The drums, again, as soon as they hit, vintage Linkin Park sound. Again, Shinoda's verse rap is old Linkin Park. Very, very familiar. Emily's hook, I hated it at first. The first couple of times I listened to that song, I just couldn't get into it. I don't know why, I just couldn't. But the more I've listened to it now, the more it's grown on me. However, Heavy as a Crown, I did not like it at first. And then I did start to like it. But there is something in this song, I just think it's a bad idea. I feel a creative line was crossed slightly. The bridge. Emily Armstrong does the signature Chester Bennington long ass roar scream that's sustained, and she does it very well, but it sounds like Chester. And I think it's okay to have hints of old Linkin Park to ease older ones in, but that was like a direct copy of Chester, and I just think that was a bad idea. It actually puts me off the entire song. I skipped it the other day because I was like, oh, she gonna do the Chester scream, and I just think it's bad taste there. And I don't know why, because I did mention earlier that it's okay to replace singers, but I don't think you should. I don't think you should copy something, and that's just to me a little bit too close to a copy. The next song on the album is "Over Each Other." Banger, love it, absolutely love it. My son loves that one too. I think Susan's a big fan of it as well. Pretty sure she was pelting it out in the kitchen the other day. I love it. I love that song, and the music video as well is so 2000 to 2005. If you go watch the music video and see what I mean, where it's got a twist, and it just everything about it just reminds me of old music videos. Um, I love this song. It's a moving song. Emily really, really gets to showcase her vocal range more than just growling. And the drums and composition, the mixing on it, I love. The hook is just brilliant. And it's possibly my favorite song on the album. I think it probably is, actually. And I love the concept of the song being centered around an argument. Now, Over Each Other as well, to me, leans into, this is just my opinion, of what Linkin Park probably should start heading in the direction of. It's a more mature sound. It's more what I would expect from older folk playing music. And it was still Linkin Parky, but it was something different and it was something new. It was a mature Linkin Park, and I really, really felt I'd love an album of more of this. And then we immediately cut into Casualty. This is the angry edgelord song. Not in a bad way. It's a hard Linkin Park sound song. And Shinoda, I do think they try something a little bit different in it, because Shinoda's verses, especially at the start, he sounds like Henry Rollins to me. He really sounds like Henry Rollins. Not obviously not as angry, but he's got that kind of like punk rock sound to him. And it just reminded me of Henry Rollins. Um, Armstrong can fucking scream. Like, she can go when she wants on that. Without copying the Chester scream or sound. This song was more to me her grill, more her identity. The bass line in it is dirty, it's heavy, and the punk hook. It's really punk 90s industrial, not industrial metal. It's like punk metal sort of sound to it. Again, I didn't like it when I first heard it, but the more I've heard it, the more it grows on me. And DJ Hans' signature record scratches come through quite strong in it. So that kind of like, as it's pulling away more into its own thing with the dirty bass sound, which is not, that particular sound to me is not Linkin Park, which is good. I want him to lean more into different things. But then when DJ Hans scratching comes in, it pulls it back. Like, you're like, this is a Linkin Park song. Overflow is the next song on the album. This is Shinoda's song. This is Shinoda's style, top to bottom. If you've listened to any of his solo projects, or anything he's got his hands in, he's got a signature style. I think he's in charge of quite a lot of the compositions on this album. I think Shinoda is really running the helm a lot on this. But Overflow is a Shinoda song top to bottom. It's got that dreamlike trip hop vibe beats, hard thumping beats, like really, really bassy, echoey, ethereal vocals. Emily, and I think Emily in this one really gets to shine her vocal range, because I don't think she screams much in this one, if at all. It's a softer song. It's more mellow, and her singing voice is really good. I think she has an absolutely stunning voice, and it's quite unique to her as well. I don't think she has a bland voice. She's got, even when she sings softly or melodically, there's still a little growl on it, a little bit, a little bit of City Miles on it. So yeah, I like that track. And this one again, as much as I like this song, this is when I started to realize, I was like, this album is all over the fucking place. Like, it is tonally, a lot's getting thrown at the wall. We're going like hard, soft, this, that, and we're gonna try new mature stuff, and then we're gonna go back to this sound, and then we're gonna do like a full Shinoda sound, and it's a short album. It's not long. I think it's again, it hits the Meteora era of about maybe 35 to 40 minutes. Yeah, it's definitely short, because I was caught short when I was going through it and it ended. But at this point, I was like, this is just fucking all over the place for me. The next track is Two Faced. It's a catchy, safe single. It's the most recent single. There's no reason for me to dislike it, but I do dislike it. I just think it's boring. The hook doesn't grab me at all. I feel it's this track though, the guitarist gets to shine. Like, the guitars are really, really coming through strong on this. There's Han gets a really good spot to scratch in it in the middle, but it just bores me. It really bores me. And this is the ironic thing. This is they released a video with this one. Go watch the video, because the video is far more entertaining. The song is better with the video. You can see the band having a lot of fun. That video is, they take a piss in it. To me, they take a piss in it. Now, I don't know what a situation was. I don't know if this was the direction of it, or was it a case of at the age they're at and how long they've been doing it, they were like, oh, we have to do a performance video, and they walk in. It's a warehouse. It's the classic metal video stuff you've seen before, where they've got like lit up stage, lighting in the back, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. It's just them on a stage with some fancy camera swings and good lighting, and they're all like suited and booted in suits, and it looks like it's going to be like a serious performance. And just as the video goes on, they just start taking a piss. They genuinely just look like they're having fun, and I don't know if that was intentional or if the director literally just went, just fucking do what you want, guys, just go for it. Or if they were in the mood of like, oh, we've done this so many times, fuck it, let's just get through the day and go home. But it works, and it elevates the song, because to me that song's a bit of a nothing burger for me. It's not a bad song by any means, but it just did not click with me at all. Turn, page, turn. The next track is Stained. My handwriting's awful on these notes. It's a heavy Shinoda track again. It's a lot of him, his style. He hits his verse. What I really liked about this one was that Emily's got like a ghost-like harmonizing vocal in the background, just hear it enough, and then she's easing in, and then boom. And when the hook hits, it leans into this new Linkin Park again. The Linkin Park that I think that they should be leaning. Well, no, I think they should be leaning into it, because I'm not. Yeah, they should be releasing more music like this. No, it's more the sound that I like. I would love for Linkin Park to lean heavier into this sound, because it would make me more of a fan, and I enjoy this particular sound of Linkin Park. It's a mature sound. It's much more layered in how they do their synths, and one thing I will say is that on tracks like this, Shinoda bounces off Emily so well. And I think Shinoda's handcrafting these tracks, because it doesn't feel so much that Emily contributes to the song or that she's an addition to his song. It's almost as if he's crafted it and gone like, do you know what would sound really good at this point? Your fucking voice. And at moments like that, I'm fully on board with this direction of Linkin Park. Again, that's the Linkin Park I would love to hear more of. But I understand why we still have vintage Linkin Park, which I said before. I think, I believe that was the last. No, it's not the last track. Got a few more yet, but I feel that they have to find a good balance. I understand that, and they have, like I said, with the Chester scream, they crossed the line there. Do you know what? They did like an anagram song, and I can't remember what it stands for. It's IGYETH or LH. My handwriting's that bad, but I can't remember the name of the song. It's a heavy track again, and it's heavy Linkin Park sound again, like old, very, very vintage Linkin Park. I didn't like this one because, again, I felt like it was stepping on Chester's toes a little bit. Emily's pre-chorus, I can hear Chester, and it's not a Chester scream this time, it's Chester's vocal. That's, I think, do you know what? I think I've just realized that's why I don't like it, is when when she's trying to, or she's been put, it's too close to Chester, that's the tracks that I feel where she's a guest. I feel like she's a guest vocalist, where it's like, oh, like it's Shinoda's crafted this, and it's a Linkin Park song, so I'll just add my voice to it. Whereas I really dig the tracks where she gets to shine. And they seem to be the tracks where she's not screaming her lungs out, where it's really, she just pushes through. I prefer it handcrafted for her. I just can't stop hearing Chester on that hook. However, I do like the track overall, though, but I'd never seek it out. If it just came on in the background, I'd be happy, but it's not a track I'd be like, right, I'm going to go listen to that. And I'd probably end up skipping it if I was listening to the album start to finish. And the overall irony is, as much as I just bitched about her being too close to Chester on that pre-chorus, the pre-chorus is the only thing that saves that song. It's the only thing that saves it for me. The next track, and I think it's the final track on the album, is Good Things Go. Again, this is the Linkin Park sound I like. This is the way they're going, this new Park sound. Shinoda's helming it with his signature sound and lets Emily harmonise while he's handcrafting sections to let her range and her softer vocals shine. And again, this is the Linkin Park that I like this new sound, and I want them to lean into it. They're older, they've lived lives, they've had experiences, they have traumas. They've, like, I'm not saying they have to go soft. I like the harder tracks too, but I can feel the musical maturity come through on these tracks. And again, it's one of my favorites. Would I have ended the album with this track? No. I don't know why. It just kind of ends a bit like when I was listening to it from start to finish. It just ended, and then the album was done. I was like, oh right, wow, okay. So not only was the time short on that album, but nothing wrong with that, but I was taken aback how it was quite a soft song to end on. I kind of for a rock slash metally album, I was hoping for a pow, a big finish. Um, so overall, tonally, the album's a fucking mess. It's really just all over the place. It's got a wee bit of an identity crisis, but Linkin Park at the moment has an identity crisis because they have to please previous audiences. They have to please, they have to please early Linkin Park fans, which is me, and then they have to please the 2010s, which is when I dropped off. So I understand they've got to have similar sounds now, and then they've got to navigate the minefield of new singer, all the controversies. So I get why it's all over the place. What I hope with the next album is that they lean into that maturer sound where Shinoda's handcrafting bits for Emily to shine. Um, I feel that's a direction they can go in, and I would like to see more a mix of those handcrafted tracks that are softer with a bit more bite from Emily, a bit more. I enjoyed the album. I did like a couple of tracks off it and add it to my Spotify list. I don't tend to add entire albums. I'm one of that guys that like adds just the songs he likes, um, and then I just seek them out when I want to listen to them again. I feel like they need to not be afraid and lean into that mature bit. Move on to the next era, Linkin Park. Um, when you leave behind the previous era, you're not being disrespectful. Nobody will ever forget the classics. Nobody will ever forget the experiences they had with Chester's voice and seeing him live. I don't think it's disrespectful to just move on to a different Linkin Park. I think we as human beings consuming an art form and enjoying an art form should be mature enough to be like, okay, well, this is the next step for them. That's fine. Um, there was something I caught the other day as I was scrolling through Instagram. There was a wee video, and I think it was All American Rejects, which I didn't realize were still going. And the singer was really bitter. It was an interview, and they were sitting on a couch. I don't know what it was for, but he was really really bitter, and he was like, like I'm this age. Do you think I still want to be playing the songs that I wrote when I was younger? It's like I don't have those experiences anymore. I don't feel like that anymore. I don't want to sing that stuff. He says, but all our fans just want that stuff. They're not interested in anything I have to say now. And as an artist, that doesn't fulfill me. And as a human being, it, obviously, I think he said it bored him. And I get that. I mean, could you, like, you're being locked into the naive years of your life, and now you've had experiences. You might be married at a stage, you might have kids, you may have been divorced, and being a musician, you want to talk about these things, you want to share these experiences. And if your audience of hundreds of thousands of people worldwide, and you get a vibe that they don't have any interest in what you have to say at that point in your life, just play the classics. Yeah, I can see why that would be frustrating and unfulfilling. But I mean, overall, I think the album's a positive. Just I want more. I want more of the new era. More of the new era. So yeah, that's me done. I'm gonna stop rambling now. That was a little bit hodgepodge because I didn't really have this planned out. I just, in all honesty, woke up and dropped Corvin off at school and just felt a bit bleh today. The mental health took a bit of a plunge, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna talk about this album and pick myself up a bit and do something constructive. And I have enjoyed it again. So if you want to get in touch with me, the email is official let's talk about meh at gmail.com. The Instagram is let's talk about meh1 on Instagram. And obviously you're on the YouTube channel now. Drop me a comment. Be nice, be gentle. I'm a sensitive soul. And yeah, I think I know what I'm going to talk about next. I think we're gonna jump over to a video game. Might be a double one. I've played one good one that I've enjoyed, and I've played another one where I have no idea how I fucking feel about it. But I have no idea how I felt about it. But I stopped halfway through and uninstalled it. So, and I still don't know how I feel about it. Couldn't finish it, but I don't know how I feel about it. But anyway, yeah. So that'll be the next one probably. But thanks for sitting through the ramblings. Thanks for staying with me, and yeah, peace.